The Nation of Yahweh presents The Unfolding Light. Today's show is brought to you by Builders of the Highway Foundation, Yahweh Life Center, Neo Jazz School of Music, Yahweh Education Centers, and the Temple of Brothers and Sisters of Goodwill. And now for your host, Dr. Lud Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to the Nation of Yahweh's weekly teleconference, The Unfolding Light. Yes, we are back and we are live today. And what a glorious day it is. All the wicked are being exposed. Yahweh is showing us this, revealing the son of perdition, and the destruction of the wicked is in full force. Praise Yahweh. Today on Unfolding Light, we'll have Who is Yahweh by the Most Honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Directly after that, we'll have a keynote message from the master teacher, the founder of the Nation of Yahweh. And after that, we'll have the part where we all take part in Unfolding the Light, and we call it Power Talk. Also, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Sister Tamar. Boker Tov, Sister Tamar.
Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom, family.
What a great day it is, huh?
It indeed it is.
Down here in the city of New Orleans, where all wicked is on the streets. All the wickedness is on the street. Mardi Gras. All the wicked they can do before they repent on Wednesday. What a stupid thing, but that's not the subject. Now I invite you all to stand and face the east with outstretched hands as we offer up a prayer to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh. O Yahweh, God of our salvation, save us, gather us together, and deliver us from this heathen, so that we may give thanks to thy holy name and glory in thy praises. Blessed be the holy name of Yahweh and Yisrael forever. O Yahweh, let them be confounded that persecute us, but let not us be confounded. Let our enemies be dismayed, but let not us be dismayed. Bring upon our enemies a day of evil, and destroy them with double destruction. O Yahweh, forgive our fathers for breaking your laws, and please forgive us for breaking your laws. Help us to never bring shame upon thy great name, nor reproach against our works. For surely we have turned ourselves to thee, O Yahweh, trying to be upright. And as we confess our faults, please grant us protection against all of our faults. Cleanse us of our secret faults, and guide us to the best of morals. For surely our prayers and our sacrifices, our lives and our deaths, are all for thee, O Yahweh. Tefillah. Avenu Shabbat Shemayim, Yikadesh Shemeaka, Tavon Makuteaka, Yazeh Rezonka, King Vashemayim, Kain Ba'aretz, Elekem Kukenu, Tang Lanu Hayam, Uslat Lanu, All Katienu, Himos King, Gamanatnu, Lakotiem Lanu, Veal Tevienu, Lade Nisayam, King Kal Senu, Mihara, Kelika, Hamamlaha, Veha Gibera, Veha Tefieret, Leolame, Olamim Sila. We thank thee, O Yahweh, O living and eternal King, who has so mercifully restored our souls within us. So let everything that has breath praise Yahweh. And now, who is Yahweh? By the Most Honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh.
Remember that this is the morning of the third day, and I shall rise again. I am the resurrection. All of prophecy tells you that I shall rise again. It's all about that. Luke chapter 2, verse 34. No doubt about it. Again, I love you forever, bless you forever. I remind you once again, my associates are children of the light. That just brings laughter to my heart, to my soul, to realize that at last, I have those of you that love peace. And I only want to be in the presence of those of you that love peace. I love you forever. Shalom Aleichem.
So who is Yahweh? Yahweh is a name that you should know because it's the duty of the Son of God to proclaim his Father's name. And here you have a whole bunch of people going to church, 400,000 churches, and they don't know the name of the Father. They say such silly things like, Father, God, help me. Both of them titles. Father is a title, God is a title. Who's going to answer to that? The purpose of the coming of the Son is to reveal the name of the Father. That's who he prayed to, our Father, and he called his name. He said, hallowed be, holy be thy name. How can it be holy to you and you don't know it? Interesting, isn't it? There are a lot more interesting questions than that about that situation. But when you begin to read your Bible, as I call this to your attention, you will discover from the Old Testament of Genesis all the way through Revelations, it's all about the name of the Father. It's all about his name. But somebody got you calling some other kind of name other than the Father's name. And you don't know his name. And unless you learn his name, then you're never going to move from poverty to riches. And if you don't come into the knowledge of the name. Haven't you ever wondered why it is that you have the same God, have the same churches, and the same names that white people have? I mean, have you noticed? You do. Our people have the same, right? Isn't it strange how God always answers white people's prayers? And black folks' prayers don't seem to be the same magnitude. You know, you say, well, I get my prayers answered. Well, why don't you ever get answered to be the ruler? I mean, you know, my people are always on their knees in front of white people asking white people to let them be accepted. Why do you need to ask white people for acceptance? Why don't you just ask God? Doesn't your God have enough power to make you accepted? Why can't you be the people that everybody else wants to be among? Why are you always running after somebody else to be among them? What's wrong with your God? Why do you have to go around always on your knees with your hat in your hand begging for a job from white people? Why don't your God just give you some jobs? Oh, I have to ask you some serious questions because white people move from poverty to riches every day. Huh? They come from Russia. They come from Europe. They come from England. They come from all over the world with nothing on the ship. Come and get in your neighborhood. Come with a buggy and a basket and a wagon and push it around in your neighborhood and move from poverty to riches out of your pockets. You live in the neighborhood and stay poor and just pray all the time. You prayed enough to rule all the world. So who is Yahweh? Yahweh is the God of the Bible. He's the God of the Hebrews. In the beginning, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. Yahweh is the man that beat up on Pharaoh. Y'all remember how he put plagues in Egypt? That was Yahweh did that. Yahweh is the one that when Pharaoh got real sassy, he drowned him in the Red Sea. That's Yahweh who did it. Yahweh is the man that when Daniel refused to bow down to another nation and quit facing the east and praying, when he refused to stop praying to his God, which was Yahweh, they said, well, we're going to put you in the lion's den and starve them. Threw him in the lion's den. Yahweh locked the jaws of the lion. Lions could do him no harm. Rulers got scared. Came and got Daniel out and made him a ruler. Right? I just want you to know who Yahweh is. He made the sun, the moon, the stars, all what you see and haven't seen. Okay. So who is Yahweh ben Yahweh? I am his son. I am his son. That's who I am. I am the son of Yahweh. I don't care who else is the son or who else they are. It makes me no difference. I'm not here tonight concerning myself with who is the son of who. I'm the son of Yahweh. I have to tell you who I am. Yahweh is my father. I am his son. What makes me his son? What makes me Yahweh's son is I do not have a will outside of his. I have no thoughts, no ideas, and no program outside of Yahweh. You'll find that all that I ever do, all that I've ever done, and all that I'm ever going to do is found right in the Bible, and it's traced right to his will. No exception. I take no credit for all that I have built. It's all in his name. Yuhe-Wafe. That's one of the things that make me his son. Also, I have no difference in his word. I only speak his words. Even the words I've spoken to you thus far, the principles of those words are all in the Bible. Every single one of them is found in the Bible. No exceptions. So I walk as he says walk. I talk as he says talk. I act as he says act. I do whatever he says do. I have no idea of doing it any other way. Those are the things that makes me his son. I obey his laws, his statutes, his judgments, his commandments. That's why I'm successful. He said in his holy word that if I obey his laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments, that he would make everything, all the works of my hand would prosper. So all the works of my hands, it's prospering. I'm telling you why. Now, what about you? You might say, well, if you're the son of Yahweh, can I be? Of course you can. Of course you can be the sons of Yahweh. Every one of you can be. Every one of you can be the daughters of Yahweh. All you have to do is like I do. Obey his will, just like I do. You automatically become. You believe on his name, then you have eternal life. There's no other name under heaven that you can be saved in other than God who created it. You can't be saved in no name but the name of the one who created everything. And he gave his son a name higher than all the angels in heaven. What's the name higher than all the names that the angels could possibly have? The Father's name. There can be no name higher than the Creator's. So the son has to come in his father's name. Just like if your name is Davis, then your father was named Davis. If your name is Smith, your father's name was Smith. My name is Yahweh, so my father's name is Yahweh. That's logical.
Know and rest your mind assured. Our eyes have seen his works before. And until my last days, 'tis Yahweh I will praise. Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh. I truly like to thank the most honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh for teaching us these things so that we have no excuse. If we want to be the son and daughter of Yahweh, he told us exactly what we must do. It's called take his yoke upon you and learn of him, the most honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And now, a keynote message from the master teacher. Well, a brief bio on the master teacher. Then we go into the keynote message. But for now, a brief bio on the master teacher, the founder of the nation of Yahweh, the most honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh. Yahweh Ben Yahweh came to Miami, Florida alone in 1979 to become the spiritual leader and founder of the nation of Yahweh. Although he took a vow of poverty that same year, within 7 years, he guided the nation and those who followed his teachings and principles to amass an economic empire in the greater Miami area and throughout the United States worth over $250 million. Under his direction, the nation of Yahweh has grown to encompass disciples, followers, believers, and supporters in thousands of cities across the United States of America, and indeed throughout the four corners of the earth. The University of Yahweh, for which he has established the curriculum, and for which he has received great acclaim in educational excellence, currently has locations across the United States. The moral teachings of Yahweh Ben Yahweh is bringing about a change in the lives of individuals and causing them to take a different approach to life. This approach is based on the scripture which reads, "It is more blessed to give than to receive." Yahweh Ben Yahweh continues to give. That which he is given cannot be measured in monetary wealth. Yahweh Ben Yahweh has given the world the keys to success in life politically, educationally, economically, socially, and spiritually. And now, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Grand Master of the Celestial Lodge, the architect of the universe, the blessed and only potentate, the founder of the Nation of Yahweh. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh.
I'm building my kingdom with you who voluntarily receive me. Behold, I stand at your door and I knock. Some of you are sitting back in there, got your door all locked up, hollering out, who is it? I don't mind telling you, Yahweh Ben Yahweh. And I'm calling out and saying, there's a terrible storm. It's a severe storm headed your way. And it's called the fall of Satan. And this is the time of Jacob's trouble. We are given 7 perfect high holy days, 3 of which are mandatory for our attendance. And the 7 are, number 1, Passover. Number 2, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Number 3, Feast of Weeks. Number 4, Memorial Blowing of Trumpets. Number 5, Day of Atonement. Number 6, Feast of Tabernacles. Number 7, the 8th day following Tabernacles, the Holy Convocation, constituting the 7 perfect high holy days. Feasts are mediums of universal and practical expressions of our commitment to the omnipotent Creator, Yahweh. Now, I could sit down right there because that will give you more than enough to study until we meet again next year at this time, especially when you know how to study. I said, this is our commitment to the omnipotent Creator, Yahweh. Many of you by now have heard the word commitment. But the one thing that most so-called black people of America are not is committed. The only thing I've seen black people committed to is evil, wrongdoing, immorality, partying, nightclubbing, lying. You know the negative connotations that stereotype us. But Feast of Tabernacles is one of our 3 most high holy days. It belongs to the so-called black man of America, ordained by your God, Yahweh, for you to keep forever. Had you been keeping these high holy days, you wouldn't be in America in trouble today. There would be no trouble. You would have power over your life, power over your destiny, power over your children, power over your house, power over your community, power over your city, your state, and your country, and the world. If you were keeping these high holy days with Yahweh in mind. I just gave you the solution to all the world's problems. Yahweh. You've tried everything else, and it has not solved our problems. No matter what you have tried, it has not worked to benefit our people and make us have the same power that other people in this country have. And it is directly involved with not keeping the laws of Yahweh. Yahweh is your God. He's great, good, terrible, and black. That should make you happy. That should make all black people in America happy. Why doesn't knowing that Yahweh is great, good, terrible, and black make black people of America jump up and shout since they say they black? When you mention that Yahweh is great, good, terrible, and black, and he's the creator of all things, then black people act like they're not black anymore. Is it because our people have thought black is a curse? Well, you're in for a shock, aren't you? The creator of all things is black. And I'm his black son. And I'm happy about it. Now that should give you joy to know that I'm his son. See what kind of chance you have? That's hope for you after all. You should really rejoice knowing that I am the Creator's son. See, the only way you can't rejoice is you don't understand your relationship to me. Praise Yahweh. Some of my people are so worried about my relationship with my Father that they fail to consider their relationship with me. See, there is a relationship between you and me. I was born, you were born. See, that's a relationship. Yeah? You wonder where I was born? I was born in America. Where were you born? You born in America? I said there's a relationship. I was segregated, you were segregated. I've been oppressed by other people. Oh, y'all haven't been oppressed. And I'll wager you the truth against a lie that the same man that oppressed me, I told you we have a relationship. There's just one difference between all that we have in common, and we have everything in common, is I know who my Father is. And I call my Father by name. Yeah, I have a mother. I have a womb that I came in through. Any of y'all have one? Any one of y'all come through one? I told you there's a connection between us. All my life, people had the power to put me in jail. You had that experience? I mean, I buy property and there are other people that don't look like me can tax it away from me. And just come up with a thing called eminent domain, just take it. Anybody else in here subject to that kind of? Oh, I said we have a connection. I'm connected to my Father, Yahweh. And he is the creator of all things. Yahweh created the heavens and the earth. That's my Father. Now, if I can be born and he's my Father, who is your Father? What's the difference? I know mine. That's what makes us different. I know Yahweh, and I'm here to introduce you to your Father. My Father is your Father. So why aren't you saying you his son?
Know and rest your mind assured. Our eyes have seen his works before. And until my last days, 'tis Yahweh I will praise. Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh. Wow, what a message. We have a relationship with the Son of Yahweh. The Son of Yahweh has a relationship with us. Praise Yahweh. That's a deep message. I hope we gain more understanding when we break it down in Power Talk. But just to consider the fact that Yahweh put himself through what he put us through. And he overcame this world, and he taught us and is teaching us to overcome this world. So we have a lot to talk about in Power Talk, but before we get there, we do have a word from our sponsors. Praise Yahweh.
Yahweh Virtual University has launched a free online class for all ages. Sign up today and experience the fun for yourself. This is a call for your help and assistance. This free online class was created to bring awareness to all good people how wonderful learning from Yahweh truly is. At this time, Yahweh Virtual University only supports online classes for level 1 and 2 students, ages 2 through 6. However, you can still homeschool your older students through our curriculum outline program. We are a small team and are working endlessly to provide online classes for all levels and all ages. We are in need of lesson plan writers, worksheet creators, video creators, online course creators, teachers, and more. If you are interested in helping Yahweh Virtual University launch more levels faster, please fill out the form in the description below. You can also call 850-813-9494 between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also support us through your generous donations. Praise Yahweh forever.
What Praises unto Yahweh, and Yahweh been Yahweh. From the nation of Yahweh,
YahwehRadio.com. YahwehRadio.com.
step on into
YahwehRadio.com.
Let nobody
YahwehRadio.com.
Yahweh ben Yahweh is a great God and a great King above
YahwehRadio.com.
holy name. You they worthy. It's truly God. Yeah.
Neo Jazz School of Music is an educational institute whose primary purpose is to rescue our children through music and the arts. Music and arts programs are scientifically proven to expand the intellectual capacity of the student in areas such as math and science. In addition, students of music and the arts make for well-rounded, productive members of society, no matter what career path they choose. Neo Jazz School of Music currently provides education and training to community youth in the greater New Orleans area.
Get it up.
Yay! Oh my gosh, we accomplished life.
Praise Yahweh. Wow. The most honorable, Yahweh ben Yahweh, talked about our commitments. And we all are aware of the so-called black man of America's commitment to the party, commitment to all these events that are for entertainment. But are we truly committed to building the kingdom of Yahweh? When you say you're committed to building the kingdom of Yahweh, you have to think about the most fundamental fact in you building or helping to build the kingdom of Yahweh is you building yourself, is you building a knowledge, an understanding of Yahweh's ways, Yahweh's laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments, and a correct understanding. You know, we can go around and round on certain aspects and elements and who's right and who's wrong. It doesn't matter who's right and who's wrong. What should matter to each individual person is that we're doing the work that Yahweh ben Yahweh demonstrated to us. He say, how do you be a son of Yahweh? You got to do like he did. So that means that you have to study to show yourself approved. You have to understand the spirit of the law. You have to continuously build yourself to be that citizens in the kingdom of Yahweh, because everybody can't go into New Jerusalem. Yahweh ben Yahweh have teachings, a number of teachings on New Jerusalem, and there's a lot of folks that don't want to go into New Jerusalem because they got to leave their hell behind. They got to leave their argumentative spirits behind. They got to leave their, I want to make a point to you when only person you need to make a point to is yourself. Only ones we need to make points to is ourselves, to build ourselves. We can't build anybody else. We can get together and we can relay information and share information, but at the end of the day, each individual has to choose you this day. Whom you gonna serve? Who are you gonna serve? We can serve the gods of America and not even know it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, January, February, March, April, May, Halloween, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras, that's those are all things we learned in slavery. We didn't learn those things to follow those things before that. So we return to our culture. We return to correctness. When we study the ways of Yahweh, we return to correctness. As long as we submerging ourselves and taking part in the culture of our enemy, then we won't have the correct perspective on our true culture, our true history. See, having a commitment to serve Yahweh means being committed to transcend yourself or translate, take the chains that's on your mind off from America and move to the sovereignty of Yahweh. See, it's a mental, spiritual thing first. You can accomplish that while working a job. But you know that you're not loyal to the owner. You know you're loyal to paying Yahweh and yourself first and building the kingdom of Yahweh. And it requires funds. It requires you having a commitment to put those funds in the right direction. Doesn't matter if you have to work for the oppressor, for the enemy, for a season. I think everybody had to do that. Some of our children don't have to do that. But that's their choice. It's always your choice. So let's get off of trying to tell everybody else what to do. We can't tell. Yahweh came and told us what to do. Yahweh ben Yahweh, who is Yahweh in the flesh, came and told us what to do. Now, if you don't do it, that's your choice. And if you do it, now you must choose to the application of that information. That's what's important. The application. We can have all the information in the world, and we do. Yahweh ben Yahweh gave it to us. But how many of us are applying that information to become sovereign? We can do a whole lot of things because we know how to go and acquire different things for short periods of time, and we can definitely look like we're kings and queens. We know how to do all kinds of things, but Yahweh ben Yahweh gave us specific things that Yahweh requires us to do. Can we do that? Can we come together, pool our resources, and gain sovereignty by doing just what he did? Or can we be complacent with just doing a fraction of what he did? Now, remember, we were commanded to do greater works ye shall do. He said, shall. So there's ones of us who will do greater works. But there's also the Moses generation who will not move on into the promised land. And that's okay. That's just prophecy. That's just how it's going to be. And everybody has the choice. They have the choice to obey Yahweh or disobey Yahweh. They have the choice to do what Yahweh ben Yahweh said, do to become a son of Yahweh, or you can do something else. It's your choice. So what is your commitment? That's what we have to ask ourselves. I'm not asking you to tell me your commitment, because your commitment to me is not the issue. My commitment to Yahweh is the issue with me. And I hope and pray that your commitment to Yahweh is what's important to you. What the scriptures say, you please man, you can't please Yahweh. So we're not about trying to please each other. If we please Yahweh and do his will and come together as his children, bound by the same laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments that Yahweh taught, and have enough scholarly studies to understand those laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments in their fullness. And we just come together and work and pool our resources and build. We're not trying to build each other. We're trying to give resources like the Nation Building Institute that can help us build ourselves, and everybody who chooses to be a part can build themselves.
Well, praise Yahweh for this message, for this divine wisdom that he gives us. And I'm just grateful because this information is resonating throughout our future, and it's going to actually manifest into some not just spiritual things, but definitely physical things. We see physical manifestations of keeping Yahweh's laws, our commitment, those universal, keeping the feast of Yahweh. That commitment to Yahweh does turn into physical manifestations in our behavior, our thinking, our choices that we make. The things that we used to choose, we won't choose anymore. We choose to participate in the things that are building up of Yahweh's kingdom. We choose to participate in the things that allow for us to actually be sovereign, as you say. So I'm grateful for this message, because this commitment is a reminder of that work, a reminder of, in order for us to achieve sovereignty, there has to be a strong commitment towards doing the things that Yahweh commands of us, so that we can demonstrate that physically through our actual works. Praise Yahweh.
Well, that's the reality of life. See, Satan has built up this whole deception to make you believe that this is the reality, when that's not the reality. The reality is Yahweh is the cause of all things. Yahweh gave Satan his power to do what he do. Now it's up to you. Yahweh also gave you power of choice. You can choose to be deceived. And see, once you study, that deception goes away, because you become enlightened. Yahweh open your eyes and give you sight. He give you perception to see the reality of Satan's lies. So if you choose to study and transcend those lies, you will. If you choose to see through your studying of Yahweh's law, statute, judgments, and commandments, you will see the deceptions of Satan, how he built up this whole world off from the tree of good and evil. See, the tree of good and evil has good and evil. The tree of life has life. We are commanded to eat from the tree of life only. So we can't be susceptible, we won't be susceptible to Satan's lies from his good and evil. We can talk about a whole lot of industries that have good, but are purely evil at the core. We can talk about all kinds of government agencies who have good on the tip of the spoon, but have the nasty stuff and filling up the spoon. So you would taste the good and think that they're all good, and you'd be deceived, and you would take the whole spoon and poison yourself.
It does take commitment to exercise those things that we learn in keeping the laws, to keep us from falling victim to the traps, the many traps that the enemy of Yahweh has given us. So in keeping our feasts, our high holy days, Yahweh is giving us constant reminders of that commitment and the work that we must do to keep ourselves clean, keep ourselves holy. This is not just about being holy once here and there. Right. It's about being holy every day. Holy meaning having a full commitment to living a life prescribed by Yahweh, and shown to us by the most honorable Yahweh being Yahweh. Well, we have an example of a righteous, holy lifestyle.
The reality of life is that we have moved into that 7,000 year, that millennium of us returning to ourselves, our EL in ourselves, returning back to our culture and keeping the law, statute, judgments, and commandments of the Most High, Yahweh. That's what time it is. That's what day it is. It is now time for us to sanctify ourselves, set ourselves aside to be holy and to be servants of Yahweh. It is not time for us to get entrenched in the serving the devil. It ain't time for us to shop around looking for a devil that pays more to be loyal to him for a season. It's time for us to pool our resources and create the sovereignty and the systems. We've created these systems in the past, even in this country. I think most educated people have heard of Black Wall Street of Oklahoma, and how at the turn of the century, how we were so prosperous as Black people. And there's been many other examples of prosperous neighborhoods and prosperous business district that we created in all industries. So, and we right now are running all industries that exist on the planet, all over the world. You got us, the so-called Black man of America, running industries all over the world right now. So we don't have to be deceived in believing that this is not something that we can achieve for ourselves. We can achieve these things for ourselves if we make a commitment to become sovereign, to have our own. That's what sovereign means. Nobody else controls your food source. Nobody else controls your water source. Nobody else controls your children's education. And I can go on and on. Nobody can declare eminent domain over your property when you're sovereign. And see, the protection of Yahweh makes us sovereign. And we only get the protection from Yahweh by being committed to keeping his law, statute, judgments, and commandments, which is the whole duty of man.
Well, let's look at this word commitment.
Yes, let's do that.
Because this is a process that we really need to get into. Yahweh gave us clear understanding that it takes a commitment for us to do some things. So this word commitment is curious to me. And so when you look at commitment in the online dictionary, just a quick look at it, it is the act of committing, the state of being committed, the act of committing, pledging or engaging oneself, a pledge or a promise, obligation. Here we go. Now we have something. Of course, it's commitment is the act of being committed. We do have a definition here that says it's a pledge or a promise.
To commit is a pledge or a promise. I commit to helping you move that furniture. That's a pledge and a promise that I will be there to help you move that furniture. And as it relates to the law, commit means I will keep your law as a pledge and a promise. Go ahead.
And when you look at the word commit itself, the root word of commitment, it means to do, perform, perpetrate, to pledge oneself to a position or on an issue, position on issue or question, express one's intentions or feelings. So to commit means to do, to perform. You're actually, when you make this pledge, you're not doing it with an ill intention of not doing it. You are committing to doing this thing that you say you're going to do.
So the question becomes that you have to ask yourself, what are you committed to? Are you committed to keeping the laws of Yahweh? Are you committed to pooling your resources and building the kingdom of Yahweh, one brick at a time, one building at a time, one institute at a time, one system at a time? That's the commitment.
Yes.
That is the commitment.
Yes, sir. And it is about putting ourselves in a space where we can be holy every day. The act of keeping the feast, the act of keeping the laws of Yahweh is for us to get into position to be holy all the time, a holistic approach to being holy. Go ahead.
Well, you said that and it just sparked something in me, because the holistic part of it is the commitment to not just a portion of it. See, and that's what happens with our people as far as we're good starters, but we're not good at seeing things through. We can get started in a place. The most honorable Yahweh got started in the place. He got started in the house and he didn't stay there. And see, that's where our commitment ends. We'll get started somewhere and we'll stop and be there forever. When Yahweh Ben Yahweh demonstrated that it's line upon line, precept upon precept. When we committed to pool our resources and come together, we got to be committed to taking that to the next level. And then we got to be committed to taking that to the next level. Just like Yahweh Ben Yahweh showed us.
That's right.
So I just wonder that holistic approach means you can't stop and be complacent with the first step accomplished when there's 30 steps.
He gave us a whole physical demonstration of that when he, instructed us to pool our resources. And back then, Yahweh Ben Yahweh built this,
economic engine,
this economic empire for us as a physical demonstration of what it means to take a whole approach to keeping the law. We cleaned up our diets, we cleaned up our attire, we cleaned up what was going on inside of our heads, we cleaned up our physical environment, and that brought about a change in the lives of the people that were involved in the nation of Yahweh and the people around it.
Right.
The communities were transformed. So this physical practice, and the spiritual practice of keeping the law is a process of transforming.
Absolutely.
That commitment gives you a transformation in your behavior, your actions, what you participate in, the things you choose to do on a day-to-day basis. You become transformed by the act of keeping Yahweh's laws. So it goes deeper than our physical interpretation of these laws, but it's more so of going through the actual transformation that is brought upon by keeping the laws.
Absolutely, because when you achieve something, there's always more to achieve. We're climbing a mountain and we achieved the first little small plateau, and then we set up camp for the night. And then the next day we're going to go up to the next plateau, and half of the people there say, no, I think we'll just stay here because we've achieved this, and that's enough for me. And I'm complacent with having said I climbed a piece of the mountain. Well, that's fine, but our goal was to climb the entire mountain. Or is that your goal, to climb the entire mountain and be up on the mountain with the Lamb? Because there's requirements. There's things that we have to do, and we can't be complacent with a system that works in the interim or a system that works temporarily. Because at any given day, everywhere we are that we don't own, we can be kicked out of. At any given day. If you don't own the spot that you're in, the landlords, the land gods can come in and say, yep, we've changed our mind. We're going to go through a remodel and we're tearing this down and we're going to build again. You got to go. Bye. You got 30 days to get out, or less to go because you don't own it. Oh, we sold this apartment building or we sold this hotel and you have to go.
And even in modern day, when you have quote unquote home ownership, there are elements about that makes you vulnerable to the things that may be happening around you. So
absolutely,
it's so many elements that take place here, but Yahweh Ben Yahweh is giving us a formula to change our conditions. And as you started out previously, there are so many examples of how intentional communities were made post-Civil War, freedom colonies were made post-Civil War, Black utopian societies had risen up post-Civil War.
And they managed to have everything they need independently of their oppressor.
And their economy were based upon meeting the needs of the people. Whereas what has happened to us, and this is why we got to understand the commitment to the enemy of Yahweh is keeping us enslaved, is that they made a economy based off the extraction of resources and using our labor, our mind to transform those resources into our own bondage. So the practices that Yahweh Ben Yahweh came and brought upon us to build the economic empire that he did commitment to that work took us outside of that economy into a sovereign economy. So the seriousness of doing the physical things that Yahweh being Yahweh demonstrated to us is really clear to me. We have to not only use the law to get in practice of being better people and being good, being just, being upright, honest, all the moral behavior attributes in that transformation, we have to make physical outward transformations as well by becoming truly sovereign in all of our practices.
Absolutely. Praise Yahweh. That's it. That's the key to overcoming this world is, number one, not dependent on the world. Because if you depend on the world, you depend on your boss paying you, and you have nothing else, no other hustle, no other way of surviving, taking care of yourself, then you're dependent on that particular entity. Now, we as so-called Black folks, when we were walking in darkness, we had a hustle spirit to where we may have had 1 or 2 jobs, but we also had a side business. We were selling plates, we were selling food, we were selling, we was doing something. My father used to go get a truck load of watermelons, and we sold from the farmer's market, and we sold watermelons, and we made our own money. That was a hustle.
Well, that was, and they demonized that practice, but the reality is those were practices that we took when we were in the mindset of freeing ourselves. Of course, during the enslavement of our people in this country, some sought freedom and became free. So what they did was they utilized a economic practice to liberate their brothers and sisters. So if I have a bowl of soup, you may have half of my bowl of soup.
Right.
And so they lift these out in our stories as if Black people owned and bought slaves, but we know the reality of it is our people liberated our brothers and sisters through our physical practices, our commitment to one another. It goes beyond some of the things that we get connected to, and it becomes a real physical thing where we are doing things to actually economically, spiritually, socially, educationally, and all that there is necessary, liberating each other because we are all collective in Yahweh.
Just a little side note, when you were speaking about, liberating ourselves, do you know there was a time in this country that a man had to make enough money to buy his wife's freedom and buy any children that he had freedom from the slave master? They had to pay. So, were they slave owners once they paid? They bought these slaves, bought their free. No, they weren't slave owners. See, now they were free people who had to go fend for themselves and figure out how they was going to survive without the slave master. But then you see that it happens so often that men and people would go and buy people's slavery, buy their freedom. They would go make money somehow and buy their freedom. So when you think about it, as slaves or ex-slaves, we're able to go out and make money to buy other people's freedom, other loved ones' freedom. That says a lot about the mindset of our people. Now, all this time that we supposed to be free, and we can't rub 2 nickels together to buy property like the most honorable Yahweh did.
Well, I will certainly like to lift out the people who are coming together and doing these works. Yahweh has strategically put some mechanisms in place that are supporting our liberation and providing alternatives to the mainstream. I want to lift out Yahweh Radio because we are just so accustomed to going mainstream in all of our things and supporting, having mass support. Let me just start, let me say that. Mass support and listeners of Yahweh Radio will help us fix the things. But because we are not supported and not properly funded, the things that need to be fixed go unfixed because we need support. So Yahweh Radio is a perfect institution where we are coming together and providing an alternative to the systems that are out there. Yahweh Virtual University is another institution that's bringing about that educational change in the minds of our people, and not just Yahweh's children, but children across the planet. So support Yahweh Virtual University. It is one of those institutions that are there to help provide that alternative. And the brothers and sisters who are doing work as builders of the Highway Foundation that are creating grant programs, nation building institutes. These families have come together to serve Yahweh and do the will of our Father Yahweh, Ben Yahweh, by demonstrating that active behavior, re-granting funds back to people that are building businesses in the cities of Judah.
Right.
So praise Yahweh.
To serve the nation of Yahweh. So praise Yahweh. We know that it's that time.
It is that time. We want to invite our brothers and sisters in good energy to come on and share in this wisdom that our Father shared with us today. There's so many amazing things that are happening around our nation. We know that the conditions are hard, but we want to lift out. Keeping our feast is a reminder of us staying committed to our Father Yahweh.
Well, you mentioned good energy because we're not here to argue. We're not here to debate. We're here to share good information of the most powerful knowledge of peace in existence. That's the most honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh's teachings. And so good energy, this message, what are you committed to? We know what Black folks being previously committed to. You know, they committed to, you have a party, all of them will show up. You have a seminar or a business mixer or something, none of them will show up. You know, you have a barbecue, fish fried, and in New Orleans, a crawfish boil.
They all there.
They're all there. You have a second line, they're all there. You have a business seminar, they don't come, all white folks come. It's a Black business seminar and all white folks show up. So we are at Power Talk. So if you want to join our conversation, please make it known through the various methods that we have.
If you are on our Zoom platform, all you have to do is press the microphone to unmute yourself, or you can use one of the reactions to raise your hand or let us know you want to speak. It should be unlocked so you can actually participate. And if you're dialed in, all you have to do is press *6. And for our family out there in YouTube, we see you out there.
Stop reading my mind.
And we want to thank you for being present with us for this particular Power Talk. I will, if you want me to read your chat.
Unfortunately, you can't speak through YouTube, but you know, that's okay.
We see you out there. But so family, it is now time for Power Talk. So if you want to join in the conversation, now is that time.
Praise Yahweh. And we're speaking about our renewed commitment in keeping the law, statute, judgments, and commandments of Yahweh, and to put them into practical application. It's one thing to spiritualize and talk about things, but talk is cheap. It's about what you do and what you are doing. And don't get caught up if right now your focus is yourself, improving yourself, because that's the first step. You can't help anybody. You can't be charitable when you don't have anything. If you don't have any wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you really can't share wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to those who are not as far along as you, because you have to focus on yourself. And as you focus on yourself, as you gain knowledge, you understand how to share that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You know, because everybody has their own choice.
Well, I want to lift out the, duality in this word and the idea of commit, because when you look at the scriptures and you look in the Bible, you see, of course, according to the so-called 10 commandments, there are some that come out as thou shalt not commit. And that it has that negative connotation. Hence, the other side of that, the importance of a commitment to the laws of Yahweh, because if you aren't committed to the laws of Yahweh, you're subject to this other side of this commitment that that is not so good and is left for judgment.
Well, just like some of the people who profess they're committed to things like I eat anything, and so they're committed to eating anything. They just committed to eating anything. That's what a commitment is. They just declared it. I eat anything. Well, that's a commitment. That's a negative commitment, and somebody's committed to rendezvousing with somebody else's husband or somebody else's wife. They committed to doing that. They do it every Thursday at 3:30. They committed. They got a schedule to keep. And we know historically how we've been committed to supporting things that's not for us to support. We committed to watching the game or going to the game. We committed to, the Black Folks Festival. We committed to the Hip Hop Fest. We're gonna make sure we make it to these things. We'll save all year to do certain things that is not.
It's unfaithfully, it's treacherous, it's against Yahweh, it's against your devotion to the laws of Yahweh. So we have to really look deeply and depthly to the things that we actually do.
Mm-hmm. We committed to.
We're doing this act of committing, this act of being, using and expelling energy. Our keeping of Yahweh's laws, again, are supposed to be guiding us into being and existing and living a certain way. Right. Those actions, those activities are where we show our quote unquote commitment.
Commitment, because some people are committed to their belly god. They committed to McDonald's. Mm-hmm. I eat that poison at McDonald's. I'm committed. I eat it all the time.
And when you look at that, and from an adjective standpoint, the word committed means delegated. So you're entrusting power into another institution to give you whatever nourishments.
That's right.
When we make these choices, we're choosing to be nourished by the enemy of Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be mindful of the things we buy to eat. Do we really believe that McDonald's wants to give you a nutritious meal that's healthy and whole for your holy body?
For $1. The dollar menu. Well, that's also how, if you're committed to eating good, and there's certain places, around the country that serve vegan, all organic, all fresh foods, and they committed to that, and you committed to eating like that. So therefore you may patronize them over people who are committed to poison, like McDonald's and all the fast food restaurants that are fast foods and their ingredients are not even edible.
Or they're not digestible.
You can eat them, but they're not food items. You can eat cardboard, but it's not food items.
And so now we're at a point where we can make a choice. If you're committed to Yahweh, you're committed, you go support your Hebrew brothers and sisters that are opening these vegan restaurants.
Vegan farms.
I'm hearing some buzz around the nation, around the people who are opening vegan restaurants and vegan food production. So I'm excited to hear about this, and also looking forward to the many of the healthy options there are out there. Praise Yahweh.
There's a co-op, a developing co-op here in New Orleans restaurant. So, definitely going to put emphasis on vegan. I don't know if it's going to be all vegan, but as it develops, we'll see.
Praise Yahweh. Well, that said, family, it's about physically changing your ways, keeping the laws, us being reminded of remembering to keep the laws through these 7 high holy days. Yahweh ben Yahweh in this message went down the list of the 7 high holy days that are designed to make us perfect. They are perfect, but us keeping these high holy days are designed to bring us into a state of perfection, and it's keeping them and remembering why we're keeping them. It's about our allegiance to Yahweh. It's about your commitment to Yahweh. And in that, we have to check every action of our day-to-day to understand if we are aligning with what Yahweh, you know, how they had this crazy saying back in the day, what would do? We're not doing that. We're
What would JC do?
yeah, what would JC do? No, we're being one with Yahweh. In order to be wholly whole, we have to be one with Yahweh. And our 7 perfect high holy days are there to give us that process of becoming holy.
Well, you know, when you think about it, the phrase from back in the day applies if you put the right name in there. What would Yahweh do? What would Yahweh ben Yahweh do? Well, Yahweh ben Yahweh would start where he's at. He would start where he's at, but he won't stay there. He'll start in the house, in a one-room house or school. That's how we started at the turn of the century with schools. One-room shacks was a schoolhouse. And it had one room, the school. But we didn't stay there. We grew into universities and institutions of higher learning that's sprawling over campuses and all over the country, HBCUs, they call it. But they didn't start as HBCUs, they started in a house. So, but Yahweh ben Yahweh won't stay in that house. He'll get a bigger house, and then he'll get a building, and then he'll get a bigger building, and then a hotel, and then a convention. You know the scenario. So in order to be faithful to the commitment of doing what Yahweh ben Yahweh did, is that we have to always be building on anything that we're doing. We have to make it better. We have to expand. We have to grow beyond that. We can't stay complacent. And we do have a caller.
We do have a caller. Caller with your line unmuted, muted, Boker Tov, and welcome to Power Talk.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Power Talk.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Praise Yahweh. Praise Yahweh ben Yahweh. I truly want to thank my father Yahweh for sending his son Yahweh ben Yahweh. This is Sister Yochebed Sarah Yisrael. And family, this is such a powerful class. I was just listening. I'm just like, yes, Yahweh, truly on point. I want to mention, just happened to be reading one of Yahweh's books, and Proverbs 6:6 states, you know, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. And in that book, Yahweh ben Yahweh mentioned how we have to be at least as smart as the ant. The ant will teach their own children. The ant will come together and pool their resources and build their little anthill. The ant will not be discouraged no matter what is going on around them. They have their community built right under the feet of all the wickedness going on. And they will defend it, and they will protect, especially their future. So yes, I love the fact that we must, and oh, what the ant has also, they have their own government. They have their own hierarchy of duty. They have the warriors, the soldiers. They have the housemaids. They have those that clean up. They have the ones that take care of the children, midwives. Family, we have a lot to do. We have a lot to do. And it's not like one person can do it all. It must be a family group effort. And we can't do everything at one time. We understand that. But you know what? It's time to have 5-year plans, 10-year plans. I know the devil's system is falling down, but our system is going up. We are the ones getting ready to rule. So forget about what's going on. There's some tragic, and I mean tragic things going on, especially just recently in Ohio, that train crash. They're not telling the world that there's toxic vinyl chloride and other huge toxic poisons that was just dispersed throughout the air. But you know what? We hold Yahweh within us. We pray every day and we ask for Yahweh's protection. Okay? And guess what? What we're seeing is they're destroying themselves. And it's a sad situation. But you know what? Their time has come. So our government is coming up. We must be at least as smart as the ant and protect. If you kick that anthill, you're going to see they grab those little baby eggs and that's it. So family, let's build our community and build our government one step at a time. Thank you for letting me share. Praise Yahweh Ben Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh. We appreciate you sharing.
And I'd like to thank Yahweh for the wisdom that he shared with you, that you can share with us, because that's how it works, people. And now we can choose to hearken into the word that she came out with, that Yahweh put on her heart about Proverbs 6:6, go to the ant, study the ant, be wise. Or we can ignore it. We can just think, oh, it was just nice. Oh, yeah, I agree. But then you don't do anything. Go to that scripture and understand about the ant. If we do what the ant does, we will be rich and prosperous and wise.
And make no mistake about it, there are some ants that are working right now.
And don't stop working.
And they don't stop working. So I just want to make it known that if just because it's not this, it doesn't look exactly the
Because they're not
same.
reporting it on CNN, the mainstream media.
Exactly, that there are ants at work right now. So I thank Yahweh for those that are participating and doing work that are providing alternatives.
Well, you know, people say things ain't being done and people ain't doing this. Are you listening to Yahweh Radio? You'll know what's being done. You'll know what's going on if you listen. That's your choice.
And there are people that are providing these alternatives to the enemy of Yahweh. The enemies are creating food systems, and look at how the community is being flooded with unnatural chemical. And I don't even know if this is a Black community. I think it's a all white community, and we don't want any harm on anybody. But what has happened up there is the things that they unleashed is killing the folks who are,
Well, they have been orchestrating all kinds of wickedness on people all around the planet for years, and now that same thing is coming back. The chickens are coming home to roost. Those things are happening, and they're happening in abundance, and they don't care what people.
No, they don't.
That it affects.
So all people, all good people have to get a clue that there is someone out there that is strategically making it hard for you to meet your needs.
Well, let's put it this way. There's a globalist agenda that is orchestrating destruction. They say the world is overpopulated, so their ideal amount of people is like 500 million people. So that means that they want to kill off the rest so that the balance of the earth can be, and of course, so that they can have control. They can control
over all of the resources of the planet.
And all of the people, because that's a lot easier managed number of people than the 7 billion that we have now, if they take it down to 500 million. So they institute this worldwide global thing of poisoning the world through GMO foods. And we know the companies that handle 85 to 90% of the world's food supply. So we can go on and on, but we have a caller.
We do have a caller. Caller with your line unmuted. You are now live on Power Talk.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Power Talk.
Shabbat Shalom. Praise Yahweh Ben Yahweh family. This is your sister Sarah Aviva, Albany, Georgia. And I just wanted to chime in this morning because something stood out to me when you all were speaking, especially you, Tamar, Sister Tamar, when you said holy, complete and holy. And what stood out to me was the word. One was spelled WHOLLY, and the most beautiful one was HOLY. They are interchangeable words. And when I start looking at them, they are brothers and sisters, or sisters and brothers. So I just want to say holy means to be entirely to the deity of work, to be there entirely. And holy, WHOLLY, is perfect, completely, entirely. So they are interchangeable. So praise Yahweh Ben Yahweh for that wisdom that you throw out at me. So I thank Yahweh for your Shabbat Shalom.
Praise Yahweh. It's so good to hear your voice, sister. And I'm glad that Yahweh is sharing wisdom through all of us, that we can share in our learning and building of Yahweh's kingdom, which is in our minds and physically manifested through our works. So I thank Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh. That was Yahweh is in the house today. I thank Yahweh for inspiring you to come on and speak on those interchangeable words, because you got the holy, when you have a holistic approach to life, which is to become holy, which is set aside for the exclusive use of the Creator. I mean, what higher job is there known to man than to serve and work for the Creator
and be holy
and whole,
one with the Creator?
When we were enslaved in physical bondage, we served the master sun up to sundown. It was a whole day. It was a whole approach. Every day we did it. Then we began to revolt, and we maybe got one day a week off or a few hours off. But the point is that we were subjected to where our whole being was to just work for this master and die. Work for this master and die. And some of us got to breed for this master so you can have more workers. Now we're in a situation where we choose that slavery. We choose to work for master all our lives until we retire. We don't choose to take the resources that we get from working and create our own business and let that go. But that's a choice, and you're free to choose those choices. You're free to choose to support things like the Nation Building Institute, Yahweh's Nation Building Institute, or you choose not to, and to support maybe McDonald's or the steak and fries restaurant down on the corner that just opened up. You choose to support those things.
And we, again, want to lift out the family who's putting in the work of creating alternatives. It's about
building the kingdom.
It's building the kingdom of heaven. It's building Yahweh's kingdom.
That's building Yahweh's kingdom, because Yahweh's kingdom is built brick by brick. It's not built a big building come fall out of the sky and another one fall out. Oh, it's being built, y'all. Watch out, it might fall on you. No, it's our hands coming together, pooling resources, and building something that is serving us or serving Yahweh's children. There is specifically built to serve Yahweh's family, Yahweh's children.
That's right.
That's what it's specifically like. The entities you mentioned, Yahweh Virtual Academy. University is there to serve Yahweh's people, give them an alternative to sending their children to public schools or sending these children to these charter schools that are not giving them anything of their culture or anything of substance for them, where everybody else who come out of those institutes rule over them.
And they definitely don't want your children to learn your true history.
Absolutely.
Because then we'd have knowledge that we were able to free ourselves. We have this knowledge that we were people that built communities, and we'd have knowledge that Yahweh is our God and that we are the children of Yahweh.
And we won't come out of their schools looking for them to give us a job.
Now, I do want to, we are about at the close of our Power Talk section. So I do want to let family know, if you want to join in on the conversation, we have time for maybe one more comment. If you're dialed in, press *6 to unmute yourself. If not, we're going to move into a closing announcement and then to our closeout.
All right. Well, praise Yahweh, family. The conversation is, what are we committed to? And we do have a caller.
Caller with your line unmuted. You are now live on Power Talk.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Power Talk. Caller, are you there? Or
we see you unmuted, but we don't hear your voice.
Okay. Shalom.
Now we can hear your voice. Yes, praise Yahweh. Welcome to Power Talk.
Praise Yahweh, sisters and brothers. I'm out of Miami, and I wanted to say one thing. All of us need to really get together and start pulling our resources together so we can start buying land and stuff like every other people's out there in the earth. All of us need to come together once a month and give something towards buying some land and or either buying a building or something that we can pull together so all of us can get together. You know, we won't have to rent from this, you know, from people. We can rent from ourselves.
Praise Yahweh. And what's your name, sister, so we can know who's calling in?
About eternal, because every other nationality they pulling together. Even though if they have to get in one house and all of them pay a little bit of money a month, they getting it. And they saving them their resources and they buying houses and they buying up houses and land and everything else because they pulling their resources together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right on point. Praise Yahweh.
Well, we thank you for calling in today. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
Savai China Israel.
Praise Yahweh.
Praise
Told out for
Yahweh.
being present and
Yahweh.
telling Yahweh's truth. We do.
I thank Yahweh for you sharing that wisdom with us because
That's real there because everybody else is doing it. But that's what's been getting us puzzled. I said, why all of us, we can't get together and put our difference aside and try to, you know, get partners, do like the rest of them. And that's how they making it out here.
Well, I have
and
something.
Everybody can,
well, I have something I want to share with family, and we thank you for sharing because we got to get to the close today. But I want to let our family know before we close that we do have an opportunity to come together at this upcoming Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. We'll be facilitating conversations and gathering in the city of Riviera Beach, Florida. I want to thank our caller for lifting that out because we do need to get together. And we start by gathering together in places where Yahweh is choosing to keep his name. We'll be having our Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread in Riviera Beach, Florida. So visit feastofyahweh.com so that you can find out more information of how and when the feast will be held. But let's start there. And I also want to encourage our family in Miami that we are often doing fellowships and gatherings in the city of Miami. So be on the lookout for those announcements, because when we talk about coming together, when we have those fellowship events and we get together, that is where we can nurture those conversations and really facilitate action around those works. So
also, Yahweh's Nation Building Institute will be an educational institute where we will be forming cooperative businesses and purchasing organic farms and land and setting up systems. You know, as we educate ourselves, we'll be also making different cooperative businesses for systems that serve our nation. And so that's what that entity is about. So it's definitely something to support and pool our resources behind the education of our people.
And I want to encourage everyone to visit the nationofyhwh.com. There you can click on the Built program and support that program. You can click on the Tides button, and that'll let you know where you can send contributions to any of the works. And we're also happy to be supporting Yahweh Virtual University. We want to send you directly to their website, but also know that we are in support of their efforts. So portion of what we collect in contributions are donated to Yahweh Virtual University.
All right, well, final words. That was the final word for today. And so now it is time that we close out this episode of Unfolding Light. And Yahweh willing, we'll be back next week with another episode that we can continue to come together and pool our mind resources in this conversation to help us move our physical resources in the right directions. Praise Yahweh. And now I invite you all to stand and face the east as we close out this episode with a prayer to our Heavenly Father Yahweh, the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew. Tefillah.
Avenu Shabbat Shemayim, Yikadesh Shemeaka, Tavo Malkuteaka, Yazerazonka, King Bashamayim, King Ba'aretz, Et Lekum Kukenu, King Lanu Hayom, Uslak Lanu, All Kartienu, Kimosasokin, Gamanatnu, Lakotian Lanu, Veal Tevienu, Lade Nisayom, King Kal Senu, Minhara, Kilika, Hamamlaha, Veha Gibera, Veha Tepier, Leolame, Olamin Sila.
We thank thee, O Yahweh, O living and eternal King, who has so mercifully restored our souls within us. So let everything that has breath praise Yahweh. And always remember, Yahweh loves you, Yahweh Ben Yahweh loves you, and so does the nation of Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom, family.
Thank you for joining The Unfolding Light, presented by the Nation of Yahweh. If you have any comments or questions, please email us at info@thenationofyhwh.com. Follow us online at thenationofyahweh.com, theunfoldinglight.com, and at yahwehbenyahweh.biz. Get social with us. Follow the Nation of Yahweh on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, do remember to pay Yahweh and yourselves first and don't touch it, as instructed by the Honorable Yahweh Ben Yahweh. You can send your tithes, donations, and offerings to the Nation of Yahweh at P.O. Box 555-115, Orlando, Florida 32855. And be blessed continually, according to Malachi chapter 3, verse 10. Praise Yahweh. Shalom, shalom.
Stop your crying. Stop your crying. It's gonna be alright. Stop your lying, children. It's gonna be alright. Stop worrying. Stop this worrying going on. It's gonna be alright, man. Cause you see, Yahweh Ben Yahweh is here now. Well, he's a man with a wonderful, wonderful life. You'll be praying all night long. Well, cause you see, you don't know if you're gonna get up in the morning now and lose your home. Well, cause you see, I got all these children and going on now, and I don't want them to starve. And that's why you got to go and bow down to somebody who ain't God. A man on your job. Well, yeah. The mighty God is here now. The Son. I'm talking about the Son, Yahweh, Ben Yahweh. So you can quit all this foolishness and going on, because we living in a brand new day. Well, stop your moaning. It's gonna be alright. Stop your groaning, children. It's gonna be alright. Stop your crying. You don't have to have no more kids. But you see, Yahweh, when Yahweh came, right about on this time, it's shorten our years. Well, stop your begging. It's time to do your part. And quit being lazy, my children. That it's time to stop. Stop doing what you want to do. Stop doing the things you're supposed to do. Get up off of your knees and be so good. Study real hard, because he said you know you could. Well, be the way he wants you to be, because he said he know you can. He want all the sisters to join together and be woman, and all the brothers to be man. And I know that everything is gonna be alright. Well, early in the morning, good time, it's gonna be alright. I wanna tell you that sometimes you get lonely in the evening time. Just call his name.